Hey everyone, we'll be starting in a moment. Please bear with me as I get it all set up. Okay, close that. These open. Connection seems to be okay. Everything seems fine. So let us begin. Hi everyone, welcome to another stream of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Today we are continuing with the second case and the part 2 of the investigation. Last time we had found out that we apparently were out cold inside a cupboard. We apparently struck on board because what was his name? Kazuma wanted us to be there. And he wanted us to be with him and be like, oh, well, you'll be useful for something, and then he didn't tell us what that thing was. Other than that, we found out that there was a what you call it? There's some sort of speckled band. That was the thing I was looking for. Speckled band was coming through the vents, and they were coming from the next room. After some trial and error, we were able to get in there, find out there was a guy in there with the big bushy beard. And of course, Sholmes was like, that's the guy from the papers. And I know why you're here. And then started dancing as he deducted everything. And what else was there? We ended up finding out that the guy was actually a woman in disguise. She was the ballerina from the dancing troupe. I can't remember the name of it right now. But she wasn't being paid. She was being paid in food and water. And she ran away. And she's 15. And she's going to England to then go to America to hide from them. And she took the tiara. So she's saying that it was given to her, so it belongs to her and all that stuff. She's just, I have no money, that's why I need this. So I assume she's going to sell it. And then she kicked us out because the captain wanted to speak to her. So now we are trying to find out what to do next and where else we can go. And yeah, going from there. I think that's everything. So let us begin. Ira Potron. Echo, you're echoing, it's fixed. Okay, well, I didn't do anything. I saw the comments a minute ago when I was talking, and I checked the filters. There's nothing on, so I don't know why it would be echoing, because I didn't do anything. I just literally just started, and as all the other times. Might have been more on Twitch side or something, but yeah. Anyway, let's get into the game. Game. Capcom. Did the background change? I feel like the background's changed. I don't remember it looking like this. Okay. That's cool. Right. Showing up on there. Sound is being picked up. Refresh Livestream. Okay, showing up on there. Everything seems good. Let's go. This is a different room. Yeah, this is Roy Lott's room, isn't it? It's got the suitcase that moves. It's got the books. Everything's on the opposite side of the room. But yeah, it's like it's updating. Like each time we go through the case, if it does that, or if it like updates depending on where we save, that's cool. I want it to keep doing that. Right, continue. Adventure of the Unbreakable Speckled Band. Investigation Part 2, yes. 9th of January. SS Buria, first class, cabin passageway. I wish we hadn't been thrown out like that. I wish we'd managed to find some clues as to what the speckled band might be. We didn't manage to investigate at all. I imagine that we won't be able to for a while longer. We'll never get past that sailor guarding the door. He's clearly glaring at us, as if to say, don't even think about it. Oh, wait a minute. What is it? Well, what happened to our great detective friend? Where did he go? Oh, yes, he completely disappeared. When did he do that? He slipped away as quietly as the wind, but not before ensuring these were securely back on my wrists. Eat the cheese now? I really wish we'd had a chance to look around in Miss Pavlova's cabin. What? What do you look like that? You want something? Maybe you want me to throw you out again? Oh, no, no. Definitely not that. Next time I throw you out, I'll show you where the lobsters will spend winter. Understand? Understand? Maybe I should steer clear of him until he's forgotten my face. I don't think he'll ever forget your face now, Naruhodo-san. You just gotta hit him on the head. That door leads to the second class area. It's locked. I can't open it. No, well, that stands to reason. No one wants to let the murderer escape. Gosh, she gave me a very stern look when she said that. Alright, I guess. Move to our room. I mean this one. Looks like they're still investigating in here. Yes, on that subject. I wonder if Inspector Hosonaga is unscathed. What do you mean, unscathed? Surely you haven't forgotten, have you, Naruhodo-san? Don't you remember what he said about allowing you out of this cabin to investigate? He was going to talk to the captain about it. He said he'd lay his life on the line for you. Oh, yeah. But I'm sure he was exaggerating. Well, let's see what he has to say for himself. He might have some new information for us. Never know. I have to find him first. You! Where did you go? Oh, sorry. I just went next door to the next door cabin to... Why? Who gave you permission? Who gave permission for this? I can't read. Well, Seaman Hosonaga did? That new Japanese, was it? Later, I will roll him into a ball and throw him in cold room. Phew, he's gone back to guard the door. I hope Inspector Hosonaga doesn't find himself in too much trouble on our account. He's really gone out of his way to help us, hasn't he? When we get back to Japan, we'll have to take him up for a steak at La Carnival. But that could be a very long time from now, Naruhodo-san. There he is. He looks beaten up. Oh, you're back. Inspector, what happened to you? Your face is... Please, don't worry about it. They're just scratches. Made by a bear, maybe. When I told the captain I'd given you permission to investigate, He told me he pummeled me with his fists and then tossed me overboard. What? But the pummeling was over in a flash, and he must have decided against throwing me overboard. So it was nothing, really. Looks like he wasn't joking when he said he'd lay his life on the line if he had to. Well, thanks to your efforts, we now know a little bit about the neighboring cabin. Yes, so I understand. Oh. I bumped into a man claiming to be the great detective a little while ago. I think his name was something like Sherlock Holmes. I think he was German, though. I don't think. Ah, that explains it. Shall we compare notes then? We can tell you what we found out. Yes, let's do it! What? Nikita Pavlova? She's in the next door. Oh, do you know who she is? Please, what self-respecting ballet fan wouldn't know that graceful angel? Oops, I think I upset him there. Oh, well, that tells us the neighboring cabin isn't related to the case at least. Oh, how? Because angels don't go around committing crimes, do they? Oops, now I've definitely upset him. Inspector, has your investigation in here proved fruitful? If I'm honest, there's very little more I can do. Our duty is to make sure the scene isn't disturbed, ready to hand over to the Hong Kong police. So I'm just keeping watch here, trying not to take my eyes off the job. Oh, I see. Ah, there is one thing. I do have a small piece of new information for you. Oh, what? Yes, do tell us, Inspector, please. New information. What is the new information you have, Inspector? Is this... Oh, it's this. I just realized one of his glasses is broken. His glass lenses. The Burrier medical officer has finished his examination of the body, and I managed to obtain the report. Oh, Kazuma's post-mortem report. Kazuma-sama. So, what was the cause of death? Damage to the cervical vertebrae is what is written in the report. His neck was broken. Yes, it would seem so. There were no obvious wounds or other signs of injury, so at first I'd think they were considering poison. But it turns out they found no trace of poison in his system at all. Well, what weapon was used then? Nothing has been found as yet, but the fact that there are no signs of wounds suggests it might be a blunt object, something that wouldn't leave a mark. Oh, I see. All the body's nerves run through the spine to the brain. A strong enough impact to the neck could induce death. But it's a possibility, and no obvious wounds would be left. Poor Kazuma. I have a second copy of the report. If it might be useful, you're welcome to have it. Really? Are you sure? Yes, it's fine. I trust you. After all, if I didn't trust you, I'd never had agreed to leaving this cabin in the first place, would I? Yeah, Susanoo, this guy's better than you! He believes in me. He's my best friend. You're just a person in a kimono. Ugh. The post-mortem report has been entered into the court record. There was no traces of external injury or poison. Oh, Mr. Sholmes was here, was he? Yes, he seemed to be enjoying himself a little too much as he crept around the ball, investigating. But then he suddenly left. I suppose he must have become bored. Did he say anything at all? You take that back. I refuse to retract the statements of truth. Actually, now that you mention it, yes, just one thing, but he practically shouted it. It's shoe polish, was all he said. Shoe polish? What are we meant? Only this. You just when he was over there by the piece of broken glass. Do you see? Perhaps he was talking about this brick-colored mark, do you think? Yes, that must be it. I figured as much. I think I even said as much in the previous episode where I was like, that looks like when you like scuff your shoe on the floor and it creates like this trail. But how could Mr. Sholmes know that it is shoe polish? That leaves me cold, I'm afraid. I have no idea. He ate it. What is it, Susanna-san? Well, Kazuma-sama was wearing leather shoes with a very dark tan hue. Dark tan? Sort of dark brownish red then. Yes, a little like the colour of red wine, but darker. I often repaired that for him. Oh, does this mean that this mark was made by the polish of Kazuma's shoes as they scuffed on the floor? The mark on the floor has been added to the court record. That's really all I can tell you at this stage. I should return to my post. My fellow crewman's eyes are boring into the back of my head. Yes, that might be the best. Thank you. Poor Inspector. Make you look exhausted. Oh, no. Well, I feel terrible that I failed to protect Asogi-san, who was my responsibility. Of course, my pain is nothing compared to yours. You were his friends. The truth is, I seem to have had a heavy head ever since I woke up this morning. A heavy head? That's interesting. My head's still throbbing too. So were they both drugged then, in that case? It really is such a beautiful color, this glass. It looks like whatever it was broken clean in two. But the other half is nowhere to be seen. And then there's the brick-colored mark, which is shoe polish, according to that great detective who seemed to know all about. That's Ryunosuke, not me, not Susanoo. I suppose it must be from Kazuma-sama's shoes. Maybe, but what I'd like to know is, how can the detective be so sure that it's shoe polish and not something else? Because he's the great detective, of course. That's hardly a reason, is it? This is still highlighted, so I'll take it. So it's clear that these letters were written with the ink that was somehow spilt on the floor. And they spelt the Russian word for wardrobe. It does seem to be an unambiguous pointer to you, Naruhodo-san, as you were sleeping in there. But to be truly ambiguous, it should have been spelt out my name, don't you think? Well, either way, one fact remains. It's hard to imagine that Kazuma-sama would have written these last words, or word, in Russian. Which begs the question of who did write it. A Russian person! It was the detective all along! So this ventilator joins to Miss Pavlova's cabin. Yes, that's right. And just a few minutes before he died, Kazuma saw something emerging from it. The speckled band. That's Ryunosuke skill. The speckled band, as he described it. If only Miss Pavlova had been able to shed some light on it, but she seems as baffled as we are. Yes. I wonder if she's not telling us everything, though. I'm not sure. I know most people aboard would say the same about me, but there was something about that woman that didn't sit right with me. This is where Kazuma spent his final moments writing his diary. 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound. 1:35 at what looks like some sort of speckled band from the dangling from the ventilator grill. Looking at his writing here on this page, it's almost impossible to believe that he's gone. Kazuma-sama left us a valuable clue in these words, I'm sure of it. We have to solve this mystery, Naruhodo-san. We will. All the books provided for passengers occupying this cabin, neatly arranged on the shelf. They were all over the place when we first looked around, if you remember. Oh yes, and you tidied them up, didn't you? You have to look at all the ship's property. Unruly behavior on the cabins leads to damage. But it really wasn't me who knocked them over. Well, anyway, I feel much better now that they're neatly lined up. I can't relax when things are untidy. She's got OCD. And he said ACD, which is this is a band, not a... It has ACDC. These are the rules of passage for travels aboard the SS Buria. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabin, as pets are also strictly forbidden. So by bringing her pet on board, Miss Pavlova was broken the rules. She's called it her friend, didn't she? Yes, although we don't know what form this friend takes as yet. I'm almost certain that whatever it is, it's inside the traveling case in her cabin. Friend. There's more to this than it seems, I think. Turns out it's a snake. I guess we'll just go back out to the first passageway. What? First class passageway, not first passage class way. Look, Naruhodo-san. Seaman Stroganoff is gone. Strong enough? The burly Russian who always crossing his arms and glaring at us. All these Russian names are impossible to remember. Tra-la-la. Did you hear that? It sounded like someone singing. Tra-la-la-la-lira-lay. I did it the Grace Detective way. That's this caroling. I know that lark-like voice. Well, never mind that now. This is a golden opportunity for us. Yes, you're right. We must seize it. Let's get inside Miss Pavlova's cabin while we can and investigate. Definitely. While that Striganov crewman comes back. It's Striganov, not Stringy Knot. Just gonna examine just in case. I knew it! Oh, it's Mr. Sholmes, look. Wow, you never know where he's going to turn up next, do you? He seems to be stealing a look at something as he sings to himself. Tra-la-lay-ra-lay. I did it the great detective way. He's still singing. You think he hasn't noticed us? Or he's simply in extremely high spirits? Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when the yard bit off more than it could chew. And through it all, when there was doubt, it's lucky Herlock was about. Excuse me? I solved it all, and I stood tall. I did it the great detective way. Mr. Sholmes! What is it? You want to fight, Honestly, interrupting a fellow when he's singing, and I was just about to reach the climactic finish. He's gonna punch us! Sorry, I thought you were never gonna stop, so I figured now is a good time as any. I very nearly dropped you to the floor with one of my famous right hooks. Alright, I get the picture. Now, could you put those fists away? Mr. Sholmes, you seem to be examining something before we interrupted you. Ah, yes, that. I was immersed in study of the ship's log, as penned by the stocky-built crewman who's usually on guard here. Oh, yes, the ship's log. And did you find out anything useful from it? Well, after 2 a.m. this morning, the majority of the entries are blank. Which means that there's nothing to report. Nothing of note happened, so... You truly are a student from the land of the rising sun. You must have been utterly blinded by it. Sorry? Your logic, my boy, is inverted. Whatever you mean, Mr. Sholmes. Maybe this university stole it from Sholmes. Maybe. Observe the other passages and all shall become clear. It should be the same crewman of Stan's century in this first-class passageway. And he has almost religious practice of recording nothing to report every half hour. Oh, he writes that in every 30 minutes? Nothing to report? Precisely. But put simply, the seaman writes nothing to report when there is just that. And yet, the ship's log from last night is largely blank. He didn't even write nothing to report. Do you mean... Yes, there were circumstances afoot last night which led to the seaman being absent from his post. What kind of circumstances? What happened? That remains a mystery for now, but we can be sure of something significant took place. So significant that it caused the seaman to forget his regular habit of scribing nothing to report in the log. These are important details. I would stake my life on it. You must log the ship's log in your mental file. Ship's log has been entered into the mental record. There are virtually no entries from 2 a.m. until early this morning. Now that deduction was worthy of a great detective. Ah, you're starting to understand what my way is, I see. What makes Sholmes. Brilliance. Oh. What is it? Are you hurt? Oh, don't worry yourself. I seem to be afflicted with a throbbing head this morning for some reason, and nothing more. Well, my friends, until our next encounter. He's still singing to himself. I can hear it as he wanders off down the passageway. He's so happy. Something wrong, Suzaru-san? You seem lost in thought. It's just... Well, I feel the same. Sorry? Ever since I woke up this morning, I've had something of a headache. A sort of continuous throbbing. Oh no, they've all got, like, monoxide poisoning. If everyone's got a headache and there's no reason for it, it's monoxide. Or carbon dioxide. One of those. Oh, you too? Alright, to the cabin. It's open! 9th of January. Miss Pavlova isn't back yet. Susanna-san? Oh, where's she gone? Hey, what are you doing? Those are her private things. There's not a moment to waste now, Haru-san. We must investigate as quickly as we can. I suppose you're right. For Kazuma's sake. Considering you weren't willing to read her book. Read Kazuma's book. The moment you get the chance of seeing someone else's, you're like, oh yeah, let's do this. Not just for Kazuma-sama. What do you mean? It can't be long now until we arrive at port in Hong Kong. I don't want you to be in those handcuffs when we get there. Really? We must solve this case now, Haru-san. By ourselves if we have to. Yes. Yes, we will. This implies Sholmes removed the clothes to sit in there. I mean, yeah, there weren't any clothes in there when he sat in it. Naruhodo-san, are you there? Sorry? I'm right here, yes. Why? Oh, good. I thought you might have climbed into the wardrobe when I wasn't looking. There's no place like home. Believe me, I don't have some strange compulsion to just jump into every wardrobe I see, you know? Well, anyway, I'm not sure anyone could fit inside this one. It's full of beautiful outfits. I suppose they're all stage costumes. I was rather hoping we'd find Miss Pavlova's friend hiding in there, but no such luck. No, hold on. Oh, it's the same one. I wanted to click the bag, not the wardrobe again. Skip! Skip! Bed. Ventilator. So this ventilator connects to Kazuma's cabin next door. Yes, although what a fool of shipbuilder must be to open a ventilator into another room. But maybe it's so that if there's a gas leak next door, the occupant of this cabin would notice and raise the alarm? Or the occupants of both cabins would die of gas poisoning? Huh, that is a possibility. I mention it, and literally the moment I mention it, they talk about gas poisoning. It's gas poisoning. Anyway, last night, Kazuma wrote that he saw a speckled bang coming from his ventilator. Although, that would explain the whistling noise. Maybe. Like, maybe there was a burst pipe or something. There's one of these. There's one of those next to the cabin. There's one of these next to Kazuma's bed in cabin 2. Yes, it's a bell cord. I can't resist. No, you fool! She barely hesitated there. She gave it a good tug, too. No, I didn't actually expect anyone to come. We don't want them to. We're trying to investigate in secret. Ah, yes, they're displayed in this cabin, too. Look, SS Buria's rules of passage. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. I suppose Miss Pavlova realized that she needed to keep the contents of her case a secret after she read this. Her special friend, I mean. I wonder where her friend has disappeared to now. It's probably having fun exploring the ship, I imagine. I just hope Seaman Stroganov doesn't find it and throw it overboard. I mean, we haven't opened the look at the case yet, so we don't know it's open. Oh, yes, so do I. All the books have toppled over together. Look, every single one. Do you think that the god of the sea, perhaps? Well, he's toppled too, though. It's exactly the same as the bookcase next door. Kazuma's cabin. But perhaps Miss Pavlova was practicing a difficult ballet pose and fell against the bookcase. I don't know. Would she really be practicing ballet on the same night she ran away from a ballet company? Alright then. It must have been you. You lost your temper and knocked them all over in a fit of rage. Not everything bad that happens on the ship is because of me, you know. Well, anyway, I'll set them all straight again in here too. I don't like seeing things in disarray. Tampering with the evidence again. Oops. I've investigated thoroughly, but can't find anything out of place. Oh my! Miss Pavlova's case is open. It's completely empty inside. According to the great detective's great deduction, she was hiding a special friend in there. Yes, a friend she had to keep secret. Because you're not allowed to bring animals aboard the SS Buria. I wonder what kind of animal she had in there. And more to the point, where is it now? What's that? Wine. Shut down the engines immediately. Vessel sighted a quarter mile 4. Full stop. Hard to starboard. All hands brace for impact. What the? I think we're about to crash into another ship. How would you crash that soon into another ship? Like, what? You would see the ship coming from miles unless you're, like, not paying attention. Or, you know, they weren't going to move. What? Oh. I can't stand. Susanna-san, hold on to me. Ah! Susanna-san, are you alright? Are you injured at all? I think I'm fine. Thank you, Naruhiro-san. The bag's been knocked over. It looks like we avoided the collision. I think... Yes, the ship has come to a stop. Oh my goodness, what about you now, Hoda-san? Are you hurt? No, I'm fine. Hello, is anyone in there? Shout if you need assistance. Oh, that sounds like... Inspector Hosanaga. Okay, I was doing the wrong voice. Is that you in there now, Hodo-san? Unbolt the door, quickly. What? The bolt? Look at that. The door's bolted. Did you do that, Susato-san? No, I didn't touch it. Well, that's strange. How did the momentum of the boat stop force the thing to fall onto its latched position? And look at all the books. They're just like they were before again. Naruhodo-san, aren't you going to go open the door and let the inspector in? I better tidy this place up first. Our violent emergency stop had solved one mystery at least in a very vivid way. But I knew that what waited us on the other side of the cabin door would not be pleasant. I hurried around tidying up the cabin with a new sense of foreboding in my heart. I also hadn't finished looking around, so if I get kicked out now, I'm going to be annoyed. To be continued already? We just got back to this. Okay, I guess there's a part 3. Literally, we just loaded up the game, went into our cabin, came out, went into their cabin, and then it literally was the end. Let me make sure that we're still good. Yep, no drop frames or anything. We seem to be good. It's only been 30 minutes. Right. Yes, continue. That's of January. This is Buria. Miss Pavlova's cabin. Somehow, the door to the cabin we were in ended up bolted after we made an emergency stop. Susanna-san took a deep breath and gently slid back the bolt. You, what are you doing in Miss Pavlova's quarters? You both look unhurt. Good. Yes, we're fine. Thank you. What on earth happened? We heard something about we were going to collide with another ship. Yes, it appears to have been a false report, though. Oh, how did that happen? There's a dense fog outside, so it's extremely difficult to see. Someone must have thought you saw a ship ahead. Okay, now that makes more sense. This person obviously triggered the alarm, and that's why we made an emergency stop. Everything is chaos. Passengers are screaming. Crew are running everywhere. This first-class area is the only quiet part of the ship at the moment. I'm doing the wrong voice for him. Oh, I see. Someone triggered the alarm. Does that mean that someone pressed that button outside? You wicked intruder, dressed in all black, you are the devil. Sorry, me? I've got a lot of things before, but devil is a first. You opened my traveling case, could you? What? No, we didn't touch it. That's right, Miss Pavlova. It was already open when we came into your cabin. Inspector. Yes? Arrest this man. I know he did it. He's a criminal. Is it not enough that he has killed a man? And he is a stowaway as well. If Vixen promises not to steal chicken, do you believe? Ugh. Take him away. He's a trespasser as well as everything else. Going away. Trespassing, killing. She is right. You are devil. It doesn't look good, does it? There is a cell below deck. Throw me in. Tomorrow we dock in Hong Kong, and then we give you straight to police. Wait, a cell? Please, Inspector Ozanaga, is there nothing you can do? This is a Russian vessel. I have really no jurisdiction here. After my last efforts to appeal to the captain's good nature, I think I'm out of options. Although I will say, how did she know that he is an inspector? And, like, how does she also know that we were the suspect in the killing? Because we didn't tell her that. We just said that, oh yeah, we're here, we're looking for stuff, and then a friend of mine was murdered next door. And she didn't seem to know that until we told her. And now she knows all this information. Did the captain tell her about stuff? And it was like, no, if you play along, we'll look past your friend being, you know, a pet kind of thing. This is terrible. This is real crisis. I've got to find a solution. Immediately. What? Where'd he come from? I just need to keep calm and focus on the task at hand, which is investigating. Don't touch thieves. You want me to show you where crawfish hibernates? Yeah. Why did you throw me? Mr. Nahara, what do you think you're doing? Wow, everyone's attacking me. Oh, and I was just starting to think she was my friend. Why is he hanging on there? Isn't there anyone who can help me out of this mess? What the? What are you doing up there? Mr. Sholmes? He has a tiara on as well. And naturally, I was analyzing what a weight of 20,000 rubles might feel like on one's head. Have I not told you that as a detective, it is my business to know what other people do not? This isn't mere tomfoolery, my boy. Oh, no, no. Well, why are you hanging from that hook before then? Isn't it obvious? To properly assess the weight of the 20,000 rubles, naturally. I wish to determine if I could bend that conceited-looking hook off the wall, so full of brag and bounce. I never know whether to take this man seriously or not. He's quickly becoming my favorite character, like... Stupid shows! I like the original version of you from, like, the actual books in real life. Now you're making me like you in this game. You again, the great detective. Inspector. I confess I've been looking for you. I have something to report to you most urgently. Well, you might try looking for me somewhere other time than a hook on the wall next time. What is your report? Speak. An urgent report from a great detective can mean but one thing. Yes. The case of the curious murder that took place last night, here on this vessel, the steamship Buria, has been solved. By me, naturally. What? Really? Yes, I have eliminated all other possibilities. No other explanations exist. So, allow me to illuminate all your minds. For I am about to reveal my great detective's greatly admired great deduction to the case. Is it going to be another one of those dance ones? Ha! You have solved it? Every hedgehog understands this case. We all knew who was responsible for killing student boy this morning when we found criminal in wardrobe. It is this stowaway, and he has handcuffs to prove it. I didn't do it. But the trouble is, there doesn't appear to be anyone else who could have killed the victim. Because, as everyone knows, the cabin door was bolted shut from the inside. That means the culprit must be somewhere who was inside the cabin. Yes, it's what's called a locked room mystery detective stories. Locked room! This is point! That room was locked. Well, I can't deny that. There's no way the bolt could have been drawn across from outside the cabin. You are all quite mistaken. The cabin next door is not a so-called locked room at all. What? Oh yes, there is another entrance. An entrance used last night by the culprit in order to gain access to the cabin despite the bolted door. What other entrance? We'd never discovered one. Why, it gapes open-mouthed at you even as we speak. The ventilator man. The ventilator? You think this is funny? I cannot even put my arm through that hole. That's because your arms are as thick as tree trunks? You're suggesting that the culprit entered and left the victim's cabin through that tiny opening? It's not possible. Ah, but it is. And last night, the victim even witnessed the intruder in the act of passing through the ventilator. Mr. Sholmes, do you mean... Are you referring to the words Cosmosummer wrote in his diary? The speckled band and the fake whistling sound. I'm going to skip all this because the fact they keep repeating this same sentence, I'm just going to shorten it. Precisely, my dear madam. But what does it mean? And what is this speckled band? The answer to that particular conundrum is in this very cabin. Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing? There is a distinct element of danger, but fear not, I am ready. What I am about to expose for you all to see will shock you to your cause. Behold! Yeah, what the... I told you it was a snake! Yes, I am right! It was obvious, but I'm right! Allow me to introduce you all to the band, the speckled band. A snake? Indubitably. Mr. Sholmes, just one thing. Pray, what troubles you? Well, that snake isn't really speckled, is it? It looks more stripy, wouldn't you say? Hmm? Yes, you're right. I think in this case you'd have to call it the striped band, wouldn't you? You both see and observe with distinction. However, I want a cookie. Yes, please. Do you think that is precisely the trap into which the culprit wishes you to fall? Oh my goodness, really? It's a trap? How exactly? The guy's just kind of standing there with a snake around his head. Are we just gonna sit there? Wait! That explains why he has the lines on his face! It's because of the snake wrapped around his head constantly. I really thought that it was just the design of his character, it was like weird shadows and stuff, but no, it's because of the damn snake. I think perhaps it is time I explained the intricacies of my train of thought. Are you ready, Miss Pavlova? I'm sorry for the young man who died, but that is all. His death is nothing to do with me. This whole thing is nothing to do with me. There are two conclusions that I've drawn from the facts. Number one, last night your friend infiltrated the victim's cabin. And number two, that same friend was responsible for the victim losing his life. No. She's turned as white as a bowl of rice again. I replaced my picture with a cookie and a gold star. No! No, wait! Hold on a second, I could buy 2 cookies with that! Jones must be right, he's hit the nail on the head. This young woman's friend killed Mr. Asogi. Looks like he can't speak with that snake cord around his head. I would advise as little movement as possible, Seaman. You wouldn't want the fangs of that friend of yours in your neck. So, everyone, let us begin. Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. Here we go. The game is afoot. The Great Deduction. Topic 1. Intruder. Intruder's identity. Miss Pavlova, moments ago you claimed the following. Also, I have to say that the fact that she came in not in disguise means that the crew now know that she's a woman and not this random guy with a beard. His death is nothing to do with me. This whole thing is nothing to do with me. Yet you cannot deceive yourself. Yes, when you recall those horrid events, your aching heart smarts with pain. I think that's more our hand. And it is this very pain that evidences you inextricably with the victim's death. So we ask, what was the nature of the intruder, this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on this portentous night? Why, naturally, it was the friend with which you boarded this vessel, was it not? Ah, as I suspected, another telltale glance. Without doubt, your friend is the writhing serpent we see before us. And yet, that fact leaves us in a quandary. The victim's written observations on that night in question tell of a speckled band. Whereas, regrettably, this specimen's markers do not fit the description in any way. What explanation can we give them, pray? What was the sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night? Was she hiding behind her? No, don't look at me. This has nothing to do with anything. Any of this. Oh, but it does. You have the answer to this quandary even now. Even hidden behind your back. Yes, that was what you were trying, but failing to conceal. Can only be the snake's slouched skin. I don't think so. Evidently, after subtle and horrible crimes, this most deadly friend of yours shed its original skin. No? If it did, it would still be the same. I don't know what you're talking about. I lost the Russian for there a second. Last night, through the ventilator visible in this cabin, your then speckled friend slid in next door. Using the bell cord on the other side as a bridge, the serpent silently descended into the victim's quarters. In the dim light, it appeared to the young gentleman who was about to lose his life as a speckled band. In summary, the nature of his friend of yours, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a rare breed of snake, whose markings change each time it sloughs its skin. A snake so dreadful, we can only imagine it would be found in the deepest depths of India. Conclusion, a beloved speckled snake. Topic 2. How Mr. Asogi died. Moving on, we've come to the heart of the matter. The grim demise of the victim. How did this young man lose his life, and why? According to the data of which I have been apprised, it would appear that there were no visible signs of injury. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by a terrible venom. Now, if we take that as fact, we can reasonably imagine that there remains evidence to affirm it at the scene of the crime. Oh no, could there be? Yes, an examination of the deceased's body will prove the cause of death conclusively. The almost but not quite imperceptible puncture wounds left by the victim's fangs will seal the truth. Yes, the vestiges of the snake bite delivered by your terrifying friend. This makes no sense. There is no point feigning ignorance, Miss Pavlova. After the incident, you endeavored to hide everything, didn't you? But now your involuntary glance is the hiding place for those you chose. That's right, you hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in the traveling case. Is it going to be behind it again? When we first met in this cabin, it came to my attention that your case moved periodically. Your serpent assassin was restless inside, no doubt. You don't... It is telling that the victims made note of a low whistling sound that he heard minutes before his end. That was your signal, was it not? The sound you had used to train your serpent friend. To train? Indeed. You put the serpent through this ventilator and wait. After a period, you summon it back with a whistle. You couldn't know if the animal had done its duty, so you would listen for signs of life next door. If the victim appeared not to have been dispatched, you'd release the snake once more. Do you deny this snake has undergone such training? It's not true. Having slithered across through the ventilator and down the bell cord, the creature needed only to sink its fangs into once. And its venom would course through the victim's veins, ending his existence forever. That is the true nature of the speckled band that took the poor young man's life. There can be no doubt. My logic is infallible. That's me. Sorry about that. Conclusion. Death by a venomous snake's bite. Incorrect. This concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of the speckled band. Miss Pavlova has trained her pet snake as a killing machine. There on the floor, you will observe a saucer of milk. The promise of food is the key of training any creature. Incredible. You've solved the mystery. Amazing, your great deduction really lives up to its name. I see now why Herlock Sholmes has become such a household name. My dear man, it was nothing remarkable. As the Russians say, I could have done it with only one left hand. Could I venture an opinion, Mr. Sholmes? But of course, what's on your mind? It's just about your deductions before. Some things don't quite make sense to me. I welcome questions as to my method, and will answer both loudly and proudly. Oh, well, good. First of all, snakes are egg-laying creatures, part of the reptile family. You are well informed, madam. And reptiles, don't drink milk. It's really only mammals like to drink milk, you see. So, I'm not sure it would be possible to train a snake using milk as a reward. No matter. No doubt Miss Pavlova used some other treat to encourage her pet to do her bidding. Milk was really an example. The logic holds. Well, there is something else. Snakes have no ears. Ah. It's like, as each time he comes in, he gets, like, more and more depressed. He's like, oh, right. Yes, I'm not so sure it would be really possible to signal a snake by whistling. But, madam, what of the tales from Arabia? Have you not heard of the snakes that dance to the sound of a flute? It's probably less the sound and more the vibrations in the air. I think perhaps the performers play their music in time with the snake's natural movements. Oh, I see. And no hands, no feet, no ears. These creatures are so inept to be practically useless. Don't take it out on the snakes, Mr. Sholmes. There's one other thing. You have more? The snakes use the scales in their bellies to propel themselves. So, I'm not really sure that a snake could manage to climb up a flat bell cord like the ones used in these cabins. Well, there are tree-climbing snakes. Although, to be fair, it is made out of fabric and it is more thinner than a tree trunk would be. So maybe it wouldn't be able to climb up it? Then it should try harder! Please don't be angry with me, Mr. Sholmes. The point is, even if the snake had gone through the ventilator to the next door cabin, it shouldn't have come back without help. What I'm trying to say is that there are a number of reasons why it's difficult to imagine the snake could have been a part in this. I think We need to step in and help again, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh no, you don't mean... Yes, we need to modify Mr. Sholmes' latest deductions and turn them into great ones they ought to be. I had a feeling that was coming. Alright, let's give it a try. Just what I was waiting for, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, right. So, cast your eyes down to your wrists again. What? You've done it again. Your handcuffs are gone. Where did they go? Fear not, I shall see they're restored after our work is done. I really wish you'd leave them off. Now, everyone, let's begin. Sherlock Sholmes is proud to present his Logic and Reasoning Spectacular, Part 2. Course correction. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. Here we are once again. Miss Pavlova, months ago you claimed the following. Its death has nothing to do with me. The whole thing has nothing to do with me. Yet you cannot deceive yourself. Yes, when you recall those horrid events, your aching heart smarts with pain. This is wrong! She does have a pained expression on her face. Yes, that's true. She looks as though Kazuma-sama's death is weighing heavily on her mind. But you're not sure Mr. Sholmes has read her quite correctly, is that it? Could there be some other way to interpret her expression then? Let's take a moment and really look very closely at Miss Pavlova. Oh! Claw scratch. Which means that it would be a mammal. Does she actually have a cat? Because cats can be speckled. I don't think dogs can, except for maybe Dalmatians, but I highly doubt she has a Dalmatian. Oh, Naruhodo-san, look! That looks like a very painful wound. It looks like a scratch made by some kind of small animal. Fairly recent, too. Well, whatever scratched her doesn't appear to be around here.
Yes!
Yes, when you recall those horrid events, the claw scratch smarts with pain. Indeed, and a simple observation reveals that the wound is fresh. Miss Pavlova, did you in fact receive that scratch sometime last night? When I think about that young man who died next door, I feel so sad. And when I am sad, the pain from this wound is worse. You like Harry Potter? It's like, oh, Voldemort's near. And it is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. So we ask, what was the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on that portentous night? Why, naturally, it was the friend with which you boarded this vessel, was it not? Ah, as I suspected, another telltale glance. Without a doubt, your friend is the writhing serpent seen before us. It seems likely that the scratch mark on the back of Miss Pavlova's hand was made by his friend of hers, doesn't it? Except, snakes don't have claws, do they? No, they don't. They don't even have hands or feet with which claws to make grow. Although there is a snake that does have hands and legs, but I don't think they call it a snake. They use it like a specific name for it. It's like the midway point between a snake and what it was before. Well then, if that snake isn't her pet, what is? What's the true identity of this friend of hers? We should follow her gaze in our Naruhodo-san. That's where we'll find the answer. Seaman Stroganoff. Sure, it's Seaman Stroganoff himself. There's no doubt, is there? She looked in this direction. Straight at Seaman Stroganoff. Well, they do seem to be friends of sorts. But I can't imagine how he could possibly fit through that ventilator. Don't forget that I managed to fit inside Kazuma's trunk when we first boarded the ship. I would ask what Equivocal? Equivocal little smile would be more effective. The more I look at this creature, the more its stripes stand out. It's a very impressive snake, isn't it? Oh yes, it really is. And it seems to be doing its best to squeeze its poor sailor's head until it bursts. Yes, it's a terrifying sight, and slightly heartwarming at the same time. Anyway, it would probably be a good idea not to get too close. Whee! I knew it was a cat! That cat is so cute! Oh my god! The bell! I knew it! Look at that photograph in this frame. This must be something Miss Pavlova brought with her when she ran away. She is exceptionally beautiful, isn't she? Yes, that's true, but personally, it's the little black creature she's holding that's caught my eye. Maybe we better take a closer look at this. Little kitty. I knew it was a cat. I was right. I didn't even see this, and I knew it. Look at the little cat Miss Pavlova is cuddling there. Oh, what a cute little kitten. Who could vie with you, couldn't it, Mr. Naruhodo-san, to the blackest outfit? Black kitten. And from the look of this picture, at least, Miss Pavlova seems very attached to it.
Yes!
Little kitten. Without a doubt, your friend is the little kitten we see before us. Yes, the scratch on the back of your hand makes it perfectly abundantly clear. Oh no. Oh, excuse me. The whereabouts of the black kitten isn't clear, but what is clear is that you brought the animal aboard with you when you ran away, didn't you? I'm trying to do Russian screams, but I can't. If only I had a Russian friend that was female that could do this. Darka was my best friend. I couldn't leave her behind. Darka would appear to be the Russian's blue. To be a Russian blue. And yet, that fact leaves us in a quandary. The victim's written observations of the night in question tell of a speckled band. Whereas, regrettably, this specimen's markings do not fit the description in any way. What explanation can we give them, then, pray? What was this sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night? No, don't look at me. This has nothing to do with any of this. Oh, but it does. You have the answer to your quandary even now, hidden behind your back. Yes, that which you're trying to hide but failing to conceal can only be the snake's snout skin. That is wrong, because we know it's not snakes. Snakes now. Snake. I can't say the word for some reason. Snake. I kept saying snake or something. Did you see that? She just took something out of her pocket and hid it behind her back. If she just left it in her pocket, no one would ever have ever known. Oh yes, boys like that are Mr. Shum's specialty. He's ever so cleverly forced her to reveal something. I thought deduction was his specialty, or maybe making me believe that was a ploy too. Anyway, I find it hard to believe that that's the skin of a snake. In which case, just what is Miss Pavlova hiding behind her back? It's actually a scarf. What is this brown thing? Well, it's speckled, and it's a band, but what is it? It seems to be a soft, fluffy, long piece of cloth of some sort. It's a cat toy. It's a cat toy. And that looks like a handle on the end. I think it might be a cat toy. It's sort of common in the West, apparently. How is that a toy for cats? Cats like to chase the band around and paw at it. Kittens in particular love that sort of play. You only need to wave it in front of them, and they pounce to catch it. I was right. It sounds positively adorable. Changed to cat's toy. Well, the actual description changed because I examined it.
Yes!
Yes, the thing you are trying, but failing to conceal, is, a cat's toy. Precisely, and the true nature of the now infamous speckled bat. And it was this toy that you dangled through the ventilator. You waved it around, I presume. Naturally, the victim could not fail to notice. But why? For what reason? My dear boy, there can only be one answer to that. After her feline friend disappeared through the ventilator into the neighboring cabin, Miss Pavlova attempted to use the speckled cat toy to incite the creature's return. Ah. In summary, the nature of this friend of Miss Pavlova's, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a blithesome Russian blue breed of a cat by the name of Darker. Yeah. A truly troublesome feline young Darker is proven to be. She must be caged once found. You will forgive us for borrowing the photograph of your pet, Miss Pavlova. Photograph of Miss Pavlova and Darker has been entered into the court record. Yay! More information! It was after I gave her food last night. That's when it happened. She scratched the back of my hand, and then ran up the bell cord. Before I could do anything, she had disappeared through the ventilator. Darker, she is so naughty. Yeah! A beloved kitten. Yo! Second part. Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter. The grim demise of the victim. How did this young man lose his life, and why? According to the data of which I've been apprised, it would appear that there were no visible signs of injury. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by a terrible venom. It's wrong! What Mr. Sholmes says is true. There were no signs of a wound anywhere on Kazuma's body. That's right, but Mr. Sholmes seems to be unaware of one very important detail. Kazuma wasn't poisoned. Yes, it would have seemed so. Let's give him the information he's missing now.
Yes!
There you go. Postmortem report. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by the postmortem report. Ah, yes, I knew it was one or the other. His neck was... Indeed, the breaking of the cervical vertebrae is fatal. Only that Goliath would be strong enough to survive that. Steven Stroganov isn't some immortal freak, you know. The jury is out. Anyway, we have on good authority that the victim's neck was broken. Now, if we take that as fact, we can reasonably imagine that there remains evidence to affirm to the scene of the crime. Oh no, could there be? Yes, an examination of the deceased's body will prove the cause of death conclusively. Kazuma died because his neck was broken. In other words, he was probably struck by something, or someone. Or someone just, went, snapped his neck around. Yes, this is a distinct possibility. As of yet, no weapon has been found, though. Presumably, Darker didn't silently creep up behind Kazuma and deal him a fatal blow. I suppose it's possible that he had a fall and hit the ground awkwardly. It could have been a terrible act of misfortune that he broke his neck completely by accident. Oh, yes, a bad fall could explain it. It's rather hard to believe in Kazuma-sama, though. He wasn't a clumsy man. Well, we need to fix this deduction somehow. Is there anything from the scene that could explain what happened? Probably this.
Yes!
Woo! Yes, an examination of the mark on the floor will prove the cause of death conclusively. This particular mark, so prominently visible next to the victim's body, is a deposit of shoe polish. Shoe polish? I can't say it in the Russian accent, polish. Indeed, positively identified by a little analysis device I constructed, which I carry now as a matter of course. Beeswax, tallow, and dye were my results, the undeniable ingredients for shoe polish. And the color of the polish is a perfect match to the color of Mr. Sodi's lace leather shoes. Looking at this mark, it's not hard to imagine what happened. For some reason, Mr. Asogi must have caught his foot and at that point, the floor and tripped. Please, no. And by the dreadful turn of misfortune, caught his neck against something immovable object as he fell to the floor, suffering a fatal blow to the spine, and the victim's vertebrae shattered, and in that instant, he lost his life. No! Did he seriously trip over the cat? I don't know. I don't know anything about this. Is that really true, Miss Pavlova? What about the evidence left at the scene where Mr. Asogi lost his life? Yes, the facts are clear as day to me. You did all you could to conceal the incriminating evidence. But now your involuntary glance betrays your hiding place you chose. That's right. You hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in the traveling case. I don't believe it. Kazuma-sama merely tripped over and now he's no more? It can't be true. I refuse to accept it. I know it's hard to believe, but the mark on the floor does seem to suggest that's what happened. But if this part of Mr. Shome's deduction is right, Miss Pavlova is trying to hide evidence that would prove it. Here in this cabin, somewhere in that direction that she just cast her eyes. Where, I wonder? Let's have a good look around. The answer must be here somewhere. This is the waste paper basket. Perhaps all the first-class cabins have them? But Miss Pavlova only started occupying this cabin late last night. Presumably there's not much rubbish in there yet. A bell! Oh, what's that? It's a broken piece of glass, isn't it? Yes, it is. And I feel like I've seen it somewhere before. If it looks familiar, perhaps it's more than your mind simply playing tricks on you.
Yes!
It's the second half of the bell. That's right. You hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that waste paper basket. Here we have a fragment of some intricate glass object, it would seem. One that has a familiar air, in fact. Precisely. We found another piece of broken glass on the floor in Mr. Asogi's cabin. And as you can see, the two pieces fit together perfectly. Oh no. So, Miss Pavlova, shall we consider what this tells us? Why would it be that this part of the glass object, which is evidently broken at the scene of the crime victim's death, should be found in the waste paper basket in your cabin? Yeah. You're well acquainted with this glass bell, are you not? I don't know. Is that hushed Russian accent of yours what saved you this time, dear girl? Why? Because we have conclusive evidence that's linking you to the bell in question. What? Take it away, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes. The evidence linked to Miss Pavlova and the little glass bell, that would be the picture.
Yes!
If you look at this photograph, you can clearly see, hanging from Darker's collar, the very glass bell in question. The truth has caught up with you, Miss Pavlova. The young man who lost his life last night did so after a truly inauspicious fall. And the cause of that fateful stumble? Your absent feline friend, Darker. I couldn't tell anyone. I'm sorry. I couldn't tell anyone, so I was going to let you take the fall for my cat's mistake. Left by tripping over a cat. Deduction complete. Elementary. I'm like trying to think, what did he fall on to break his neck like that? Was it the suitcase that Naruhodo was in? Ryunosuke? Why don't you tell us now, Miss Pavlova? Tell us exactly what happened last night. It was a little after 1 in the morning. It was so late, but I hadn't had time to feed Daka, so I gave her some food. And then, all of a sudden, she scratched me and jumped up out of my hands. People do say cats become very anxious and nervous in new environments. Yes, it is true, especially on a boat. She was so fast, she disappeared through the ventilator before I could stop her. And that is how you acquired that rather nasty wound on the back of your hand, I take it. Yes. And I had read the, rules on the wall. I knew that I was not allowed to take Daka with me. Yes, modern science suggests that animals can carry infectious diseases. It's a precaution, really. Well, to be fair, on a ship, they have cats anyway to catch all the rats. At least on, like, old day ships. I don't know if they started dropping that at this point. So I listened and listened, trying to hear if there was some noise in the next cabin. It was very quiet. I was sure if someone was there, he must have been sleeping. So at that point, you thought it safe to try and lure the kitten back again? By dangling the end of the toy from the ventilator into the adjoining cabin. Daka always loved this toy, but it didn't work. Nothing worked. I tried using her favorite toy, I tried whistling to her softly, but nothing. She didn't return. So the faint whistling sound Kazuma wrote about in this diary was Miss Pavlova trying to retrieve her pet. Kept her a propensity to remain hidden in the shadows when frightened. Yes, so there was nothing else I could do. I just had to wait until she had calmed down. Who was it I said before? I think I said the wrong voice. It was Shows. I did the wrong one. Wow. But then... I nearly passed out with shock. I heard her cry out and then... Oh, it was such a dreadful bang. And then afterwards, nothing. It was totally silent. Kazuma was... From the appearance of the brown mark on the floor, it seems likely that what you heard was the victim stepping on the glass bell and tripping up. The SS Burrier is a large vessel, and even she can pitch and roll violently without warning. If Mr. Asogi was already off balance as a result of the ship lurching when the kitten got under his feet, the combination of unfortunate factors could easily have caused him to fall over. But what became of the kitten afterwards? In the end, I managed to get her to come back through the ventilator. Yet Daka is nowhere to be seen. I must have forgotten to lock my case. And now she has disappeared again. Gracious, that cat is insufferably restless as I am. Well, he knows something about himself at least. And when I woke up this morning, I heard that the young man in the cabin next to mine had died. But I couldn't bring myself to tell anyone what had happened. I was too scared. Scared that you would send me back. Oh, hold on a minute. What about the snake? You're right. Where is it? If the snake isn't your friend, Miss Pavlova, then whose is it and where did it come from? What on earth is such a dangerous creature doing on board the ship? Is it petting it? Oh, did not see? The snake is my friend. His name is Pirozhko. Hmm? What? What? But that snake belongs to you. He escaped from cage when emergency alarm sounded. I was looking for him. I did not expect him to find him here. Yes, how did that snake get into this cabin? But animals are not permitted on board. We are at sea for 1 year. You want to be so long without friend? Without someone who understands? Couldn't you find someone a little more human? Who understands you better? But my dear burly fellow, a gargantuan venomous snake, you surely couldn't appreciate the danger you put everyone in. No venom. Pirosco does have not venom. He is harmless, very long, very gentle. He is adorable like Granny. It's venomless. Yeah. Duh. Now he is hungry, so he is in bad mood. But once I feed him, you'll see big smile. And you feed him what? Milk, I suppose? Like they say they milk chickens? Ridiculous. Snakes that drink milk are only in stupid stories. Roscoe eats mousies. Big fat round mousies. I mean mice, but he's Russian, so he's probably thinking that's how you say it. So is that what the mouse traps in the passageway out there is for? Of course. How else can I catch my friend's favorite food? Nothing says top of the food chain like the look in their eyes right now. It refuses to drink milk. It can't hear a whistle. It can't climb up a bell cord. And it's not even venomous. How the deuce did something so inept land a starring role? It's not my fault. I do not make up stories. My Porosco has nothing to do with this incident. So that's what happened. That's the truth behind my best friend's tragic death. I feel like there's more to this, because it would have to be that it wouldn't explain why everyone has the same headache. Miss Pavlova, I understand the difficult situation you found yourself in, and I do sympathize, but please remember this. I will throw you next time you lie. A young man lost his life. If you're going to attempt to cover up your guilt with lies, then no matter what the circumstances, I cannot forgive you. But what are you talking about, Miss Mikotoba? What lies? Miss Pavlova just confessed everything. It was just a series of unfortunate events, an accident. I'm not a great detective like Mr. Sholmes. I don't have a gift for knowing the truth. But even I can see that was not the truth. Don't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? To be perfectly honest, yes. But there's a discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story, I'm sure of it. I just can't quite put my finger on it. I confess, I was intending to let Scotland Yard deal with any outstanding issues on this matter. Oh. I am only present here for a very specific reason. The truth is, you, Mr. Naruhodo, are simply a distraction. A distraction? I do hope you've not been finding your shackles too uncomfortable. Not again! When did he do that? Especially as they are on your wrists as a result of my intervention. I was rather hoping I could resolve matters before we made our next port of call. You were, Mr. Sholmes? Yes, but I overlooked one important detail. The deceased young man was a very close companion of yours. Was he not? Yes. Kazuma was my closest friend. I owed him my freedom even. In that case, we must follow this to its conclusion. No further distractions. You must uncover the real truth here, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, whatever that might be. The key to this is the discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story, I'm sure. If I can chase that down, maybe the truth will become clear. See, he's not such a bad guy. He's like, you were close friends. I thought we could do this and you were just a distraction, but now there's no more distractions. You are my main focus. It's like, okay, jeez. The truth about how you really died. And about how the scene in your cabin really came to be. Alright, I'll see what I can do. Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Naruhodo. Well, I mean, I have no choice. Otherwise, I'm going to be the one found guilty. So then, shall we begin? Yes. We should ponder first. Is the victim who lost his life in a cabin that was bolted shut from the inside? Was this truly an unfortunate accident? Or was it in fact no accident at all? That is what we must establish in the first instance. But we already established it, haven't we? The man tripped over the kitten like that had climbed into his cabin via the ventilator. Tragic, yes, but still an accident.
Hold it!
Wait, let's just take a step back. It doesn't make sense if that's what really happened, does it? I'm going to have to ask you to spell it out for me, I'm afraid. When Sholmes can't afford to bullshit, he gets shit done. Yeah, it seems that way. Yeah, it's starting to shake now. There's a clear contradiction between the facts and Miss Pavlova's story here. The evidence is right there in Kazuma's cabin. It's undeniable. His death couldn't possibly have been a mere accident. Really? Let's show our hand, Mr. Naruhodo. Time to present the evidence. The evidence that proves unequivocally that the victim's death was no mere accident. I mean, it would either be this picture or the picture of the entire room, but I don't have that, so this one.
Yes!
The truth is clearly recorded in this photograph print. There's no way Mr. Osogi would have left his message on the floor. That script, it's Russian, isn't it? Indeed it is. The word written means wardrobe. I see what you mean. Most people would leave a dying message in their native language, the Japanese in this case. But maybe he was studying Russian. It is simple language. He could have picked it up very fast. That doesn't seem likely. That's actually not the point. It makes no difference whether he knew Russian or not. Sorry, what do you mean? Exactly what I said before. There is no way that Mr. Osogi could have left his message on the floor. And the reason why is clearly explained here. Damage to the cervical vertebrae resulting in instant death. Instant death. Which means, after the victim fell to the floor, he couldn't possibly have written anything. Because he had already dead. Or he was already dead. That's not the only reason either. There's something else we found in Mr. Osogi's cabin. A remnant of something that couldn't possibly have been there, if what Miss Pavlova told us is true. What? So Suzaru-san has noticed it too, then. Putting the message on the floor aside, there's something else that gives the truth away. Another piece of evidence that proves this was no accident. In other words... It's either going to be the ship's log because it shows that no one was like making any records at the time, or something else. bitch. Was broken, certainly as a result of strong blows in the area. Mouth. Now, that's the eyes of the evil villain. Beans! Really just a picture again? I don't know, because I don't see anything in there. I don't think it's that. I mean, we've got plenty of stuff, might as well.
Yes!
What point are you trying to make with that evidence? I'm starting to see how Kazma's death really happened, I think. Well, you're starting to see nothing of the sort. And that's it. What is that evidence proved to have been? There. If it was no accident, then we should be looking for one of two things. Either the absence of something you would expect to find in the scene of that accident, or the presence of something you wouldn't. Compendiously put, my dear madam. Ah, I see. I confess you're rather languid, I see. Doesn't fill me with confidence, Mr. Naruhodo. Don't worry, Mr. Naruhodo, I believe in you. Well, more than Mr. Sholmes does, anyway. Yes, it's starting to take shape now. There's a clear contradiction between the facts and Miss Pavlova's story here. The evidence is right here in Kazma's cabin. It's undeniable. Putting his message on the floor aside, there's something else that gives away the truth. I guess this one?
Yes!
This piece of broken glass next to the mark on the floor. But that's the glass bell the kitten had around its neck. We already know all about that. It was broken in half and the victim tripped over the cat and fell. So we already have a satisfactory explanation, so what's the flaw and logic in that? Unfortunately, there is a very big flaw, a fatal flaw. What? If that's really what happened, then how did one half of the bell end up back here in this cabin? Yes, remember that when we found the other half of the glass bell in the waste paper basket. Would you care to explain that, Miss Pavlova? Oh no. Both these pieces of evidence clearly point to the same conclusion. That when Mr. Asogi died late last night in his cabin, there was someone else in that room. And that same person deliberately arranged the scene to disguise the truth, in order to cover up his or her own guilt. Yeah. Yes, there was something else that was present, or someone else who was present in Mr. Asogi's.
Hold it!
You are wasting time. Someone else was there? Duh, of course. We know this. What are you talking about? The bulkhead was bolted shut from inside. There was no way on your out. Oh, yes. And only other person in cabin who was a young student died was you.
Yes!
It's true, I was in the cabin when it happened. You were shut inside the cabin wardrobe, to be precise about the details. But I don't know Russian, and there's no way I would have left that message. Not would have. There's no way you could have left that message, to be precise about the details. Would you mind? Forgive me, my dear fellow. As I was saying, the person in question wrote the word wardrobe in Russian on the floor in an attempt to incriminate me for the crime, even though I had been asleep in there the entire time. And then The same person picked up the broken glass bell that had fallen to the floor. And for the fear of it becoming evidence, they show that Mr. Soki really died. But why would this person have taken all the pieces of the bell away? Leaving half behind was always going to raise a question. Yes, well, it was past 1 o'clock in the early hours of the morning. The cabin could have been quite dark. A single small lamp suspended from the ceiling would barely have cast any light onto the floor there. Little wonder, then, that the culprit failed to notice a fragment of the tiny item. You all suspect me, don't you?
Hold it!
Seaman Stroganoff. Nina is woman of Sia. She is daughter of strange sailor. 2 years ago, they noticed her dancing skills and she went away to join ballet company. But before, she was dancer on the ship, a member of ship's band. You do not accuse ship's angel of being criminal? Ah, so that's it. You say that when the young student died, Nina was there in the cabin. But that is not possible. I gave my tooth. Well, this is most interesting. And why would you give your tooth, Eddie Gray? How can you be so sure? If you are a great detective, you should know. Look towards her eyes. Cabin bulkhead was blocked from inside. Nobody could go inside the cabin, not Nina, not anyone. But you want to tell me that killer can walk through locked doors? Yet, it's not possible. Sorry about that. I had something stuck in my nose. He's right. But wait, I've read about this in detective stories. People often tie thread doors around door latches so they can open and close them from the outside. You already disproved that. Thread? Are you stupid? These bulkheads are not barn doors. Certainly not. These are watertight doors, as one would expect to find on any modern steamship. Constructed in heavy steel with not a gap in sight. No threads or needles or magnets could have been used. No, of course not. I thought so too. But Mr. Naharo suggested it earlier, so... Susanna-san, how could you shift it onto me like that? So, Seaman Stroganoff has a valid point. The cabin door couldn't have been bolted from the outside. Not necessarily. What? I put it to you that I could bolt this cabin door without laying a finger on it. And in the very cabin, we can see the traces of that method I have in mind being used before. I don't believe it. Well, Mr. Naohoro, I believe you know what I mean, don't you? A way to shut the bolt of the cabin door from the inside. One way does spring to mind, yes. Do you really know Mr. Shones means, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, and so should you. Because we've seen it happen. Indeed we have. So, would you care to do the honors, Mr. Naruhodo? Point out the telling signs of the method that was used to slide the cabin door bolt across. Where is... I'm trying to find the button. Ashford.
Yes!
This is it. This shows how it was done. It certainly shows how something was done, I concur. In fact, it's an excellent way to show how easy it is to jump to the wrong conclusion. Oh. But a truly dismal way to show how the bolt could have made the slide jump from the outside the cabin. You really need to say truly dismal. Surely it can't really be possible to slide the bolt shut without touching it at all, can it? I'm sure that it is. Something in the back of my mind tells me so. Do you know what shows means? Yes, I do. But there's no bell in here, so I assume it must be something that was moved. So... books, maybe?
Yes!
Look at the bookcase there. See how all the books and things on it have toppled over? That must have happened when the ship made its emergency stop before. Yes, that's right. It's a very powerful vessel after all. When the engines are thrown into reverse, a violent jolt goes across the entire ship. Any small objects that aren't fastened down are bound to fall over. I believe, yes, it's what's known as the force of inertia, acting on the objects. Is there nothing Susanna-san doesn't know? Or that isn't in her book, at least? Well, whatever it's called, the same force that pushed over those books in the bookcase also made something else in the cabin move. The bolt on the cabin door. It is very obvious that just after the emergency stop that the ship made earlier, had come into this cabin not long before and we hadn't bolted the door. But then... Hello, anybody in there? Shout if you need assistance. Oh, that sounds like... Inspector Hosonaga! Oh, yes. That's it. When the ship stopped suddenly, the bolt flew across and blocked the door. Yes, it's made of metal, but it's small and light enough to be moved by the ship's sudden change of speed. Oh, the first of ineptia, if you want to call it that. Are you trying to say that last night, after Mr. Asogi was killed... The SS Courier made another emergency stop? When I woke up this morning and looked around the cabin, I thought it looked a little odd. All the books on the bookshelves had toppled over, and all the ornaments. It was almost as if someone had run their hands across the shelves and deliberately knocked everything over. Oh yes, I remember that. And I blamed you for everything. And I stood them all up again, didn't I? And then when we came into this cabin, we were surprised to see the same thing in here. All the books and everything had toppled over, just like in Mr. Asogi's cabin. Oh my! Do you have anything to say about this, Miss Pavlova? Are you out of your mind? You say Boria made an emergency stop? It does seem a little far-fetched. How could that possibly have happened? Unless you're saying that the culprit is actually someone from the engine room. Oh, it is simple enough. Are you forgetting that the button in the passageway outside used to trigger the emergency alarm? Oh, yes, of course. There was notice saying, wasn't there, telling you only to press the button in times of emergency. On dark nights when the fog is dense, the captain cannot look forward to rely on the eyes of the lookout alone. Hence the placement of a number of buttons around the vessel to allow any crewman to raise the alarm. The sort of button one is almost compelled to press to satisfy one's curiosity. Wait, it was you? When the button is pressed, two things have happened in the interest of safety. The emergency alarm bell rings and the vessel comes to a complete stop. As indeed it did a little earlier today. Mr. Sholmes, surely it wasn't you who... As I always say, a button has but one purpose in life. To be pressed, whatever the occasion. He sounds almost proud of himself. How dare you mess up with ship? I had to report you to Captain. You are in much trouble now. Now, I'm sure all that can wait until later. Let us not overlook the fact that we have now learned a valuable lesson. When the vessel makes an emergency stop, the bolts on the cabin doors slide closed. So, what must we do now? What we must now consider? Yes, it all comes down to one thing now. Last night, after what happened to Mr. Asogi, did this ship make an emergency stop, or did it not? You are idiots! You're a huge ship with many passengers. If you make emergency stop in the middle of the night, there would be chaos everywhere. What are your thoughts, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, it's certainly possible that some kind of emergency happened last night. We have evidence to support that idea. Really? What evidence, Mr. Naruhodo? Fascinating. Do show us, my good man. What evidence promotes the theory that some emergency gripped the vessel last night? The one that's in the logs, because there wasn't anything.
Yes!
Seaman Stroganoff, it's your duty to patrol the first-class area of the ship, isn't that right? Ah, that is correct. Why? The ship's log here. This would be where you record the details of your duties. What are you doing with that? That is mine. You rather carelessly left it atop the makeshift bureau in the passageway out there. But as a responsible passenger, we took it onto our care with the mind of to return to later. I left it there on purpose. That is where I put it always. The point is, looking at what you usually record, it's clear that under normal circumstances you write the phrase nothing to report every 30 minutes. But from 2 o'clock last night until first light in the morning, nothing was recorded at all. Nothing recorded in the log. That is, because nothing happened. But if nothing happened, you would normally write nothing to report, wouldn't you? Indeed so, which tell us shortly that after 2 a.m., something happened here aboard the SS Buria. Something sufficiently significant to make you forget to fill in the ship's log, in fact. Are you suggesting that the ship really did make an emergency stop in the middle of the night? Stop talking rubbish! If I'm perfectly honest, I find that a little hard to believe myself. Oh, why? Well, because if something as major as an emergency stop really had happened, surely all of us would have noticed. That's very true. Thanks to the emergency stop we experienced earlier, we all know what it feels like now. The ship lurched so violently and the alarm bell was so loud, I can't imagine that anybody would sleep through that, even if it happened in the dead of night. Well, no, that's a good point. What of the throbbing? You could have phrased that better. Sorry, what do you mean? Your head, man. The throbbing of your head since this morning. We have all suffered with it. Oh, yes. I have had a headache, you're right. In fact, I haven't been feeling myself since I woke up today. Nor have I. My head has been feeling heavy ever since dawn. Yes, you've all been afflicted, haven't you? Just as I suspected. He's right, my head's been throbbing today too. And since eating dinner yesterday evening, everything's just felt sort of hazy. I can't really remember anything that happened after I climbed back inside the wardrobe. Then the first thing I noticed this morning was the throbbing pain in my head. I had already been dragged out of the wardrobe and had those handcuffs put on me by that point. Why didn't I wake up when all that was happening to me? Tell me, Mr. Naruhodo, you boarded this vessel as a stowaway, didn't you? Oh, well, yes. Sorry. The stowaway class of accommodation doesn't usually include meals. What did you survive on? Well, Kazuma looked after me. He was always happy to share his meals. So you enjoyed some of the whole roast chicken dish that was served yesterday evening, I take it? Yes, in fact. I had all of that. Kazuma wasn't fond of chicken. Oh, really? So the victim didn't eat any of the chicken at all? That's right. He didn't touch it. Is that relevant? My dear fellow, does that not strike you? Oh, Mr. Sholmes, do you mean to say that there was something wrong with the chicken? I do. No, really? Is that really true? The meal prepared for the passengers last night had been tampered with. Tampered with by the addition of a soporific, designed to induce a very deep slumber in those who consumed it. A sleeping drug? Do you mean whoever did this laced every meal with a sleeping drug so no one would notice the ship's emergency stop? But, Mr. Naruhodo, of course that's not what Mr. Sholmes means. What a far-fetched idea. Precisely. Placing every meal of every passenger on board with a soporific drug would certainly be impossible. Unless, that is, every single member of the crew was a conspirator. What? Mr. Sholmes? Well, Seaman? Eh? I'm sorry to say that any more deception in this matter will get you nowhere. If you refuse to talk, there would have to be an inquiry made through the shipping company, of course. And were that to happen, every member of the crew, and the captain himself, would be hauled over the coals. For aiding and abetting a renegade. Please, no more. I will tell everything. Eh? I cannot make problems like this. For everyone anymore. These crewmen are your former comrades, I believe. Yes, so when I decided to run away, I asked them to help me. We all agreed to help everyone together. She threw away everything, her fame in the ballet, Mother Russia. You wanted to help her, Angel. So you helped her murder? I don't believe it. You are right. We put sleeping drug in chicken last night. Yes, I remember now. I did notice chewing on a lump of something strange and bitter at one point. We could not make old drug. How do you say dissolve? Ugh, talk about heavy seasoning. At midnight, in waters near Shanghai, we brought our Angel aboard. She was held by a comrade on shore with small fishing boat, while all the passengers of the SS Burrier slept soundly, thanks to the almost magical effects of the slumber-inducing potion that evening meals had contained. So, if that's what happened, the only people awake on the ship last night were the crew, people who disliked chicken, and the newly boarded passenger, Miss Pavlova. And that means it would have been possible for you. You could have used the emergency stop trick to lock Casimir's cabin's door. But how does that make sense? Surely every cabin door would have ended up locked in that case, and there would have been complete chaos. Oh, I wouldn't say so. What? Ah, of course. Just like us, all the other passengers who would have eaten an evening meal of chicken in their cabins, after which they would have been overwhelmed by tiredness because of the sleeping drug. Quite, and accordingly, all passengers were already in their cabins for the night. Yes. The overwhelming majority of passengers would habitually sleep with their cabin doors bolted anyway, and so not one of them would have been found remarkable to find the door locked in the morning. In summary, in order to fasten the bolt of a single cabin door on the ship, the culprit brought the entire vessel to an emergency stop in the early hours of the morning. Well then, for one single cabin door, you have talked long and you have talked long time and said many things. What's his point? The point is what I said earlier. There was somebody else present on the scene when the victim lost his life late last night. Someone who left a message in Russian on the floor in an attempt to incriminate another. Someone who tried desperately to hide the broken fragments of glass that reveal the culprit's identity. And someone who abused the ship's emergency stop procedure in order to lock a door. All told, a busy night. But... I don't know anything of this. I am just a little girl. You like to speak with longish words and explain your clever ideas. But I am sailor, and sailors don't listen to long, boring stories. We don't believe. Sailors like me, we trust only what we see with our eyes. Which is why you're bullshit. A laudable trait. What? I am quite of the same disposition, my good man. Observation to me is everything. Now, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, yes? Did you hear it? That accusatory cry of guilt on the wind. What accusatory? There. I'm losing my ability to say words because this is a long talking segment. What accusatory cry of guilt? Sorry, you've lost me. Proof of involvement, man. But you can't hear such a call with your ears. No. You must hear it with your eyes, for observation is the basis of all deduction. What are you talking about? I believe the time has come. For one final logic and reasoning spectacular, to expose the truth. So, Mr. Naruhodo, your assistance, if you please. With what exactly, Mr. Sholmes? With observation, my dear fellow, just as I said, of these two I can't say that word. Prevaricators. There we go. Observation. If you remember, Mr. Naruhodo, we know that somebody tried to fabricate evidence, don't we? By tampering with the scene of Mr. Asoki's death. What we're looking for is some trace of evidence that one of these two was there when it happened. Precisely. You are delightfully quick to grasp my meaning. Alright, I'll see what I can see. So we're looking for a trace of evidence that shows someone else was there last night when Kazuma died. Ugh. Oh, bed. I examined bed. There it is. I'm trying to get, because I'm... Not that one, my bad. You lied to me. Right, something that shows that they were there. Chunky arms. Right here. I have to actually, like, examine their models. That's so weird. Oh, ink.
Yes!
I didn't mean to press R. I meant to examine it first, but... Seaman Stroganoff, you seem to have quite a large purple stain on the back of your white uniform there. Yeah? Yes, I don't know where that dent came from. So nothing in particular comes to mind about the stain? What are you trying to say? It would appear that the significance of the stain has escaped your attention, Seaman. Allow us to make it plain. It is a very large purple stain on the back of the Seaman Stroganoff's uniform. And I think what made it is clear. Indeed it is. So, Mr. Naruhodo, present the evidence that proves it. My pleasure. Alright then, the evidence that proves that the stain on the back of Seaman's uniform really is... I guess I have to present this one. Does this show the ink bottle? There's no way to look at an ink bottle, so I'm just gonna have to go with this.
Yes!
Crime scene photograph. Yes, it is this photograph and the ink it shows. That's what caused the stain on your uniform. Ink. A rather unusual color of ink, purple. The penny drops. At last. Now you see the significance. The Russian word on the floor next to the victim's body was written in purple ink. And the stain on the back of your uniform is ink of the exactly same color. If the ink had been dry, it couldn't possibly have stained your uniform in that way. Which means... you must have been present in the cabin, in the moments immediately after the ink was spilt. Right, yes. It was me. I did it. Everything. I arranged everything in Dead Student's cabin to make it look like Wardrobe Man did it. Then I pressed button to make Boria do emergency stop, and bolt cabin shut door. I did everything so no one would suspect our angel. But you did it and made it worse. Biff, please. Don't worry, Angel. Let me do talking. It was after 1 in the morning. I was on duty patrolling passageway. When our angel came to me, she was white like sheet. Biff, please, you must help me. I'm getting more and more Russian as we're going along. I went with her, and door to cabin number 1 was open. When I looked inside, I saw student boy on floor. What happened here? Please, don't tell anyone. My little one, my little furry friend. Everything that happened in cabin is like Angel told you. Just wiping my screen, 1 second. Keaton escaped through the ventilator into Mr. Asogi's cabin. Then he tripped over it and broke his neck when he fell on the floor. Yes, that is right. So after the incident when the cat ran away, Miss Pavlova then visited the cabin next to hers, only to find its occupant lying lifeless on the floor. She said she was worried when she heard sound of something falling on the floor, and then she went to look. No, Angel. The door was not locked. She opened to look, and you already know what happened after. There's just one thing, if you wouldn't mind. What? When you went to Mr. Asogi's cabin, Miss Pavlova, was he already dead? Why? I already told you. When Nina opened door for student's cabin and looked inside, I was asking Miss Pavlova. Well, Miss Pavlova? Ah. Oh. Yes, it is right. I saw him. It was dark, and he was wearing black, but he was on floor, not moving. I was scared. I understand, and I believe you. So is that finally it now? Have we discovered the real truth about Kazma's death at last? Ah, something very nearly slipped my mind. How did they know about the man in the wardrobe? Oh, Mr. Sholmes? This photograph. Yes, I took this myself, you know. The cause of death was a broken neck. Therefore, the victim died instantly. And the unfortunate incident that precipitated these events, a kitten on which the victim stumbled. However, if those are the facts, there is one particular area in this photograph that seems to me somewhat unnatural. What do you mean unnatural? What are your thoughts on the matter, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, well... If Kazuma tripped and fell, and by some terrible stroke of bad luck broke his neck, which part of the photographic print seems unnatural? Writing, obviously.
Yes!
This word in Russian clearly wasn't written by Kazuma. So if you're looking for something unnatural, that's the obvious point. Very true. It's certainly peculiar, but it's not what I meant by unnatural, I'm afraid. That particular crestito was orchestrated by the culprit. I mean to identify another point. Oh, I see. Imagine, if you will, losing your footing yourself. In my opinion, if you landed as the victim appears to have done here, it would be most unnatural. I am sure you reached the same conclusion. How thoughtful you are, Mr. Sholmes. Thank you for your gentle guidance. Kazuma tripped and fell. By some other terrible stroke of bad luck, broke his neck. I'm glad that I didn't lose a point for that, because that is the most obvious thing there. Is it his position? I'm not really sure what it wants me to do. We did the writing and that was wrong. We didn't lose a point for it. I guess I'll just click his neck or something.
Yes!
It must be here, surely. Allow me to offer you a piece of advice regarding the pursuit of deduction, my dear fellow. When noting a crucial point, it can be helpful to keep your eyes open. They were open. And it can be equally helpful to use them. Sorry, I'll try that. I've only got 2 points left. I think it's plain what Mr. Sholmes means by natural, isn't it? The word written in foreign language is beneath his fingertips, surely. That particular crass detail was orchestrated by the culprit. No, I mean to by one other point. Imagine, if you will, losing his footing yourself. Would you land as the victim has? What of your hands? Okay, I guess it's the hands then. You look like the sort of fellow who stumbles with some regularity. This should be an easy task. Why do I? I mean, I guess because you were trying to stop your fall? Your hands wouldn't be bunched up. They'd be like outsplayed trying to stop your fall. Or like cushion it.
Yes!
Alright, if he really fell due to an unfortunate accident, then his fist just doesn't seem quite right. The exact same thought occurred to me. In a fall, one's instinct is to open the palms flat. Yet we see the victim with his left hand tightly balled into a fist. Almost, you might say, as though he were gripping on something. What do you mean? Simply that I took the liberty of investigating the victim's fist a short while ago. You did? And what, pray tell, do you imagine I found there, my dear fellow? Mr. Sholmes, show us, please. Why, of course, my dear madam. Why would I keep you in suspense? This is what I found. It's one of her earrings, isn't it? Oh, a crescent moon with a little gemstone in the middle. Yes, you are right. A crescent moon. It's very pretty, but what does it tell us? If it tells us nothing. I'm not so sure. That crescent moon looks familiar somehow. I'm sure I've seen it somewhere before. Just gonna quickly check the court record to be sure on this. Not that one. Or this one. I thought it was off of this. Observation, Mr. Naruhodo. That is the key. What? The truth is now tantalizingly close. How did that crescent moon come to be in Kazuma's clenched fist? This is the final clue, the last piece of the puzzle. Ask yourself, what does this little crescent moon mean? What significance has it? And observe, and find the answer with your own eyes. Yeah, I figured, because I was like, why can we look at her ear? And this is why. She has such petite ears among the beautiful hair. What's a weird thing to comment on, but sure. Like little pink seashells. Oh, what's that? There's something dangling down from her ear. Yes, that's an earring. Wait, look! It's a crescent moon. There could be no doubt now, surely. And then do I check out the right ear? She has some petite ears among the beautiful hair. Pink seashells. Oh, what's that? There's something that attached to her ear. I expected that's what's called an earring. It's a little piece of jewelry. earring. Is it? It's really tiny. Perhaps part of it is missing. Maybe it broke off. So now all that's left is the clasp part that attaches to the ear. If that's the case, she doesn't appear to have noticed that it's broken. I guess we'll present this side first because it actually has the matching part.
Yes!
Miss Pavlova, on your ear there. I see you have a crescent moon as well. What? Even he's surprised. And on your other ear, there seems to be a crescent moon missing. The little link holding it must have broken, I suppose. Now, the missing crescent moon was found in the victim's clenched fist. Clearly, there was only one logical conclusion. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes. Miss Pavlova, Mr. Sogi must have grasped that crescent moon and pulled it from your ear, perhaps just moments before he fell to the floor. In other words, last night in Mr. Asogi's cabin, you witnessed the moment when the victim fell with your own eyes. In fact, you were quite literally at arm's length from him. But then the question is, why did Mr. Asogi do that? I just have to mention this now because I'm going to forget otherwise. I like when he turns around to her, he's like, huh? Why did he pull your earring from your ear and hold it in his clenched fist during his final moments? Oh no. Angel? No one can protect you now. Please, Miss Pavlova, tell us the truth. Last night, what did you do to Kazuma? Eat! And then I shattered her mind and sent her to the Shadow Realm, apparently. When I think about everything that happened yesterday, it was too much. Running away with a fishing boat in the middle of the night, trying to climb out to this huge ship. And then, when I was at last in this cabin and could relax after this horrible, long day. Daka, wait! I couldn't believe it when she disappeared through the ventilator. I tried to call her with a little whistle. I tried waving her favorite toy. But nothing worked. Daka would not come back. What are you doing here at this time of night, Inspector? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was for a friend of mine. The young man from your country who was very polite and kind. He helped me to find Daka, and he promised not to tell anyone. But then, when I had my friend in my arms again, and I was going to leave the man's cabin... Just a moment. Sorry, but... Oh, yes? I'm sure I know your face. I've seen you somewhere before. Of course. You're Nikanora Pavlova, aren't you? A Russian ballerina. Huh? No, I don't know that name. My heart suddenly stopped when he said that. He knew who I was. How could this man from a land far away east know a Russian ballerina? And so I murdered him. Yes, I saw your performance in Japan. The beauty of the ballet made a deep impression on me. But what are you doing on this ship? I'm sure I read that your ballet company was performing in Shanghai at the moment. I can't fool him. I have to tell him the truth and hope he doesn't tell anyone. I have no other choice. I see. So you've run away. Please keep my secret. Don't tell anyone. Give me a moment. I could use another opinion here. He's going to pull that cord. He's going to tell the captain. Why did I think I could trust him? Didn't you just say that everyone in the ship knew who you were and they decided to help you? Or is it just that the captain doesn't know you? And then it happened. Everything at once. It was only a second, but it felt like forever. Wait, I shouted, and then the Daka jumped out of my arms and down to the young man's feet. And as he turned around to look at me... Ow! I pushed him. I don't even know why. I don't know why I did it. I was just so scared. And I had to stop him from telling anyone about me. And that's when you went to fetch help. It was Seaman Stroganoff who was on duty out in the passageway. I heard Nina cry out and fell on the floor. I ran to her. She was standing at the cabin door, shaking like a leaf. She looked at me and said, "Help me, Biff. If they find out, I will be... Please, I have nowhere to go." So you decided to help. And that's when you arranged things in Kazuma's cabin to make it look like I did it. So that no one would suspect the passenger in the cabin next door. Yes. I went into the cabin and looked around to make sure there was nothing to show Nina was there. And then I found a stowaway. In wardrobe. Still sleeping. Right, that's when he found me. So you worked out a plan to lay the blame on the stowaway. I closed wardrobe doors and put back strange paper sign. Luckily for me, that's the only reason Susaru-san started to believe me when I said I was innocent. I dragged away a young man's body to a good place and used ink that was spilling to write on floor. I wrote, so that person who find him would look inside wardrobe to find stowaway. And tell me, what of the glass bell? It was by my feet, so I picked it up. I did the wrong accent, but yeah. I see. But it was dark in the cabin. I didn't notice the other half. And then Angel went back to kill cabin, and I finished job. By pressing the emergency alarm button in the passageway. Yes. Accordingly, the SS Burrier did indeed come to an emergency halt at a little after 2 a.m., thus inciting the bolt of the cabin door to slide shut, creating the locked room mystery. There's one thing I don't understand, Miss Pavlova. What? Well, you said that you told Kazuma about the fact that you'd run away from your homeland. And it's because you were worried he was going to tell the captain that you pushed him. Isn't that right? Yes. But even if he had pulled the bell cord and called for the captain of the ship, aren't you friends with every member of the crew? Why would that have been a problem? It was what he said first that made me scared. What he said first. What are you doing here at this time of night, Inspector? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was a friend of mine. He said an inspector was his friend. Yes, meaning me. Who was supposed to be acting as his bodyguard. I thought that if police knew about me, they would arrest me. So before he could pull the bell cord, May I stop you a moment, please, Miss Pavlova? It just doesn't seem to make sense. I mean, was Mr. Asogi really going to pull the bell cord? I don't know. What? What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, I'm not Kazuma, so I can't know for certain. But he was a man of his word. If he told you he wouldn't give you a secret away, then he wouldn't have done. No, he was walking over to it. Who's going to pull the cord? Who's going to make them send me back? Well, Mr. Naruhodo, the day's work is not yet done, it seems. There is one more deduction to make. What? Another deduction? Yes, what action was the victim really about to take at that moment? Can we determine whether the young man's gaze was directed? First, consider the victim's location within his cabin. That's easy. I remember every detail of that room. I mean, yes, I spent quite a lot of time in the wardrobe, but still. That cabin has been my home for this entire voyage. So this is how the cabin looked last night when Miss Pavlova visited Kazuma-sama? Yes, it's exactly how it was. Are you ready then, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes. If there's one thing I've learned today, it's that a simple gaze can reveal all manner of truths. And not only that, in order to draw the right conclusion, you can't afford to be out by even a little bit when you're following the gaze to where it lands. So, when he turned away from Miss Pavlova, what exactly was Kazuma looking at? The bed! His bed. Remember him being annoyed about the pillow? He said it was too thin. Didn't he put that big, thick book of Japanese lore under it, in fact? Perhaps he was thinking of looking something up. Either that, or talking to Miss Pavlova made him acutely tired. Hello, perfectionist! That's an achievement! For examine the bed in episode 2. Okay. It was probably me. The wardrobe. My wardrobe. I wasn't there at the time, of course. Sleeping soundly. Too soundly. If only I hadn't eaten that chicken that was laced with the sleeping drug. If only he'd woken me up. Then maybe this tragedy would never have happened.
Take that!
Considering everything that happened last night, certainly it may have looked as though Kazuma's going to ring the bell cord. Yes, however, what is directly beside the bell cord? The wardrobe. The wardrobe? And more importantly, what was inside the wardrobe? The man's great friend, sleeping soundly. Miss Pavlova, please, think back very carefully. What were Mr. Asogi's exact words last night? Give me a moment. I could use another opinion here. Another opinion? Yes, but not from a member of the crew. No, Mr. Asogi intended to consult his close friend on the matter. To see if between them they might be able to help in some way, no doubt. Oh, no. Sadly, we can't know the truth for certain now. It's too late for that. But I wish you had made sure of what Mr. Asogi was looking at. Things may have ended very differently if you had. I think in the entire Ace Attorney series or franchise, this is only the second time that there's been a remorseful, accidental killing of someone else. The first being the paralyzed guy in the circus, and now this woman, and she's 15. She's even younger than that guy. She straight up murdered someone. Miss Pavlova. I want to thank you for finally admitting the truth. But unfortunately, the truth is a man lost his life because of what you did. And that will never change. I hope you'll never forget that. I'm sorry. Really. I'm so sorry. What have I done? And so, at long last, the mystery surrounding the tragic accident on the SS Buria was finally laid to rest. January, 7:14 p.m. What will happen to Miss Pavlova now, then? Well, once we reach Great Britain, she'll be handed over to the British police at Scotland Yard. What about the fact that she ran away from Russia? Will the Russians try to is it repatriate her or repatriate? Apparently, the English detective can speak to the immigration officer and sort all that out. Mr. Sholmes can do that? He's an important figure, you know. So, she won't be going back to Russia, then? No, I don't think so. Even if she wanted to return in the future, I doubt she would be able to. She ran away, so now she's in exile for life. I see. I'm sorry. Something strong enough? I wanted to help our angel, no matter what. But I didn't think about you, and how you lost a good friend. I will go with Nina. I will give myself to British police. That's kind of you. In the meantime, thank you for letting me go free again. Cosimo's death feels like such a waste. But... well, do what you can with Miss Pavlova, won't you? Da. Well, I'm afraid you need to pack now. We're due to arrive in Hong Kong tomorrow. As much as it pains me, I'm going to have to hand you over to the council to arrange your passage back to Japan. Yes. I did stow away after all. I couldn't really expect any different. So, you should get back to your cabin now. Looks like my study tour to Great Britain is over before it even began, then. To think that only days ago, Cosimo and I were laughing together about how we tear up the streets of London. Seems like a distant memory now. Oh, what's that? Is it someone weeping? Susato-san? Naruhodo-san, I didn't know you had returned. Oh, well, I haven't been back long. Inspector Hosonaga just told me I should pack, you know, ready to leave the ship tomorrow and all that. I still can't believe this has happened. I can't believe someone's life can be over just like that. Susato-san. He had such grand ideas for his visit to his Great Britain, so many dreams. And now they're just cruelly taken away, just as he was. I thought I could never forgive the person responsible. But now we know the truth. That it was just an accident. Just a silly series of mishaps. It's too much, Naruhodo-san. It's just too much. Yes, I know. I wish there was something I could say. Might be the perpetrator? No, it's you. Inspector. My duty was to see Asogi-san safely to Great Britain. But I failed, and caused his two closest friends great pain and suffering as a result. I've let everyone down. And I will do anything to make up for my terrible blunder. Nobody blames you, Inspector. Wait, what? And I'm free again now, at least. Huh? It's like, he just breaks in, cuts the whole, like, depression. Surprise, Mr. Naruhodo! What is the meaning of this? Oh, a trifling matter. Simply that in my head, I think I shall always picture you wearing those shackles. Without them, the balance seems all wrong. It's distracting. Sorry? So I decided to restore them, for old time's sake, shall we say. You are a stowaway, after all. He thinks this is funny? Sholmes. We do appreciate all your assistance. I'd like to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Not at all, not at all. I know it's a little late. May I offer our sincere condolences? The loss of your companion is truly heartrending. I hope that you will be able to fulfill some of his aspirations in his honor. I'm afraid that won't be possible. We shall be disembarking at the next port in Hong Kong. We have to return to Japan and make a full report about everything that's happened. What? Wait a minute. Is it just me that has to go back, isn't it? I mean, I was the stowaway. The terms of this study tour were negotiated by the Department of Justice in both Great Britain and Japan. It was to be one lawyer and one assistant. Was to be. In the light of Mr. Asogi's unfortunate death, I'm afraid the study tour can no longer go ahead. Oh no, I don't care for me, but... for Susanoo-san. My dear fellows, the majority of problems have an extremely simple solution, you know? All of you require is one lawyer, and the study tour can continue, surely. But there's no one else with the necessary qualifications, Mr. Sholmes. We know of no other lawyer. Qualifications, you say? Any qualifications obtained in your own country will be of little value in Great Britain, I'm afraid. Oh, but... But anyway, the voyage to London still promises to be a good month of time. Ample opportunity, I would say, to find yourselves another suitable lawyer. Yes. Miss Susanoo? Yes? Do you think perhaps I might be able to do it? But you're no lawyer, Mr. Naruhodo-san. Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, unless... Are you studying law? No, I'm not, but... I'm sorry, in that case, I don't think there's even a chance it would work. But as I said, there is still more than a month before we reach England's shores. Isn't that right, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, I have a bunch of which to study, to learn what I must become a lawyer in Great Britain. He's going to take a month to learn the entirety of law, okay? Do you, buddy? Mr. Naruhodo, that's ridiculous. Are you seriously suggesting anybody could learn all that in just 40 days? There's only one way to find out. I would work my fingers to the bone, Inspector. Every single day. Will you let me try? And if by the time we reach Great Britain, I haven't learned enough to be recognized as a lawyer, I'll take whatever punishment is deemed appropriate. But why would you put yourself in such a difficult position? Oh, Kazuma. He said that there was something he had to do in Great Britain, and that he would sacrifice anything to make it happen. He was passionate about it. Can't let all that passion just come to nothing. And anyway, it's for my own benefit too. I will become a lawyer. I have to. What do you say, Miss Susanoo? Smile! I think it's a wonderful idea. Thank you. So, what does our Inspector friend say? Are you serious? One lawyer and one assistant. The numbers are indisputable. No, it's madness. Yet fascinating, would you agree? Fascinating? Duty and rules are the dull routine of existence that we all abhor. Give us interest. Give us fascination. Speak for yourself. Besides, qualifications are no measure of a man. What matters is his character. No? And you've witnessed the ample evidence of this man's exemplary character today with your own eyes. From the early hours of this morning until this very moment now. Despite contending with the passing of his close companion and despite the accusation of guilt, this man was shown resourcefulness, intelligence, and above all, courage. He belongs in Hogwarts. Gryffindor house. Very well. I'll think of a clever way to word my report to the Department of Justice. Inspector, after all, I did just make a promise, didn't I? I said that I'd do anything at all to make up for my shortcomings here. Oh, thank you, Inspector. If you'll excuse me, I must pay a visit to the captain's quarters, I think. I need to discuss what to do next and how best to make my report. Ding dong, ding dong. Are you really prepared to attempt this, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, I'm gonna try. I wonder, would you consider teaching me what I need to know? Don't do it! She'll be a freaking... What's the word? She'll burn you out! Would you consider teaching me what I need to know? Everything about being a lawyer? I would be delighted to help you. I am a judicial assistant, after all. Thank you. And, Mr. Naruhodo, I'd like you to take this charge of this. What, me? Are you sure? I don't even know how to use a sword! I'm sure it's what Kazuma-sama would have wanted. Its name is Karuma. It's a great sword that's been in a Asogi clan for generations. I don't think she means as in like a great sword as in a great sword, the weapon. I think she means it as a description, so like it's a great sword. It's superb kind of thing. Very well, I accept. I'll treasure it always. So then, Mr. Zato, it seems we'll be working together for some time to come yet. It'll be an honor, Mr. Naruhodo. Now let me plan out your stuff meticulously for the 40 days. And for the next 40 days, I shall grant you a single minute of freedom. We shall fit every spare moment with study. She slapped her book. Yes, that's exactly what I need. But before we begin, I have an earnest favor to ask of you too. Goodness. What is it? Please throw me to the ground. 3 times. If we had gotten thrown by her more times, would that actually go up? What? I should never have doubted you. You were Kazuma-sama's closest friend. Of course, he would never have done anything to hurt him, and that should have been obvious to me from the start. It would actually. Oh, I should have just kept doing it, so then she would throw. I get to throw her like 6 times or something. But I allowed suspicion to get the better of me. No matter how upset I was feeling, it was completely unforgivable behavior. No, you were in shock. You just found out about me stowing away, and the cabin door was locked from inside. No, I won't let you make excuses for me. Whatever the circumstances, I should never have thrown you, not just once, but 5 times. That number keeps creeping up, doesn't it? Please, you must. Just take hold of me and throw me. Do it. Don't even think about it. No, I don't even know how. I'd never throw anyone in my life. Very wise, Mr. Naruhodo. Isn't a skill one acquires without considerable training. Oh, Mr. Sholmes. I observed your throwing technique several times with great interest. I confess I was most impressed. When did he see that? I presume that would be from a form of Japanese wrestling? Oh, well, in a way, it's not wrestling, but my own interpretation of an ancient jujitsu technique. Apparently it's called Zuzara Takedown. It means you head swimming. Or your head swimming, believe me. How beguiling. I'm a practitioner of the combative art myself. I am somewhat accomplished boxer. There he goes, dancing around again. I wonder if you'd be so kind as to instruct me on the technique of your arresting throw. Yes, I'd be honored. And then he became a master fighter. He was the first martial artist that knew all techniques in the world at the time. And then he started discombobulating everyone. Then let us not dally. Demonstrate you, my dear madam. Oh, of course, of course. Don't throw me, please. Are you ready, Mr. Naruhodo? Sorry? Hey-ya! As you can see, you throw from the abdomen. Oh yes, arresting indeed. And this is what you'll term the Susato takedown, is it? Actually, no. That was a Susato squash. In my groggy state of consciousness, a scene from an evening recently spent with Kazuma flickered into my mind. Karuma. That's right, it's a prized sword that has been passed down through generations of the Yosogi clan. I can't believe you managed to get permission to bring it with you. I mean, taking a katana on study tour is more than a little irregular, surely. Now I get to throw it 4 times. Yeah! A Japanese man's sword is his soul, Ryunosuke. I can't be parted from my katana. Karuma guides me. I truly believe that. So its name compels its wielder to slice evil in 2? Not that you would need much compelling. On that subject, there's something very important that I have to do in Great Britain. And I'll sacrifice anything to make it happen. I'd appreciate you seeing it through with me. Oh, of course I will. Whatever it is, I'll see it through to the end with you. I knew you wouldn't let me down. And then you let me down because I died. You couldn't do anything about it. Sleepy bastard. That important thing he had to do. I still don't know what that was. But I'm going to see the place for myself and work it out. Great Britain's capital, London. Yeah! Imagine if Blackwell and Francisca met. That would be a terrifying friendship. I really hope when they do a next game that they do like a Francisca versus Blackwell. That'd be cool. Woo! Episode 2 done. Yeah! Congratulations. Save. God, that took forever. The Adventure of the Runaway Room. Runaway Room? What do you mean? Next episode preview? The Clouded Kokoro. Oh wait, no, I skipped it. Never mind. The Adventures of the Runaway Room. It's a carriage. I guess we'll have a preview. Let's have a look. The Adventures of the Runaway Room.
Glancing over my records of the late last century, I am faced by the events of a certain bitter winter. A murder in a carriage as it sped through dense London fog in the dead of night. Though the victim and the perpetrator were the only ones inside, there were multiple witnesses to the crime itself. However, none could have imagined at the time that such a seemingly obvious case as this would end in such a horrendous manner. My friend, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, once said of the incident,
I believe that perhaps that case was indeed the prelude.
the beginning of a long concerto that impressive Japanese student and I were to play together.
Cool. And a cutscene. He's wearing the
Amazing.
the cloak thingy.
Is this really just a railway station?
Railway station or not, I've never seen such an enormous building before.
And look at all the steam locomotives. This country is incredible.
It's snowing. Brian's Coco. That was like weirdly photoshopped onto that carriage.
I feel like I'm dreaming.
So this is the capital of Great Britain.
So, where to?
Oh, hello.
Climb aboard. I'll take you wherever you want to go.
In that case, the Supreme Court in Whitehall, if you wouldn't mind.
Why do they
My
also
pleasure.
speak British? I mean, I guess it's to then like imply, obviously, it's olden times.
Suppose you're,
Everyone speaks like that.
Visiting students from abroad, eh?
Yes.
Thought so. Well then, I hope you enjoy your stay. And welcome to the centre of the world, Great Britain's mighty capital, London.
And then they got shanked. Oh God! This is the courtroom? They have knights too. Lord Chief Justice's office. This is just an office. Okay, I was going to say it's a weird over-the-top office. Are they in Big Ben? All right, but let's get out of here. And that is the preview for next time. Do you want to quit the game? Yes. And we shall stop there for today. We will pick this up next week, Tuesday. So look forward to that. This game's great. Why is Steam continually failing with these cloud syncs? Just sync. Screw you. I'll do it after the stream. Yeah, we'll stop there for today. We shall pick this up next week, Tuesday. Tomorrow, I'll be back with more Dying Light. Hopefully, we'll be able to start that at a more reasonable time than we did yesterday, so that I'm more aware and we don't go as long. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes, seeing how it portrays Britain, essentially, London. Granted, I don't live in London, so whatever they portray in London will probably be true in some capacity. Yeah, we should stop there for today. As I said, we'll be back tomorrow around about the same time for Dying Light. Look forward to that. But as for today, I hope everyone enjoyed. As usual, if you have not already, like, follow, subscribe to the bell notifications to know when the next stream. If you want to support me, there's links to Patreon and tips. Also do the bell notifications. And if you do go to Patreon, you come your name. Well, your name will be put on the list at the end of every stream, like I do, and I give you a shout out every stream. What is going on? I need to slow down. If you do become a patron, you get your name out to the list, which I show at the end of every stream, like I do here. And I give a shout out to everyone that's on it, like I do with Hiroru Kuni, the Soulmaster 37, and Rafatron 2000. I thank you for the continued support. I greatly appreciate you all. And we managed to prove our innocence of a murder again for like the second time. And yeah. So thank you all for joining. I'll see you all either tomorrow or next week. And until then, you'll have a nice rest of the day. And take care. Bye everyone. Bye. Bye Rafatron. Thanks for joining. Bye.